Hello, Amy, and nice to meet you in cyberspace after 4 weeks. This will be some video feedback for you, and I wanted to say that I had to go back to 2.3 for evidence that you've been able to upload. I see that you were able to upload a file a couple weeks ago. And it would be really easy for you to make your your 3.3 submission, which I think you're missing, outstanding now. Lastly, don't forget about the wireframes. They really are important in the overall design of your site. And it may be too late, well, it's not too late to post them in the wireframes discussion. Just to get them out there, and we can refer back to them, in the next coming weeks. But I would go ahead and make a post, even though you may have missed the deadline for that if you don't post tonight, regarding the wireframes, that peer discussion. I follow the rubrics carefully. I mean, if you want, you can open up the rubric, but the rubrics for 3.3 and 3.2 are very short, so I don't know if it's, and I cover those. All right, well, good going. Keep at it, and let me know if I can help you. Amy, this is very nicely done, and can you translate this to the web server? In other words, can you create directories in your GeoCities account that match these titles and put these files in there? And then index.html is not the name of a directory or a folder, it's the name of a HTML file. So it may float out there, the index.html may float out there in this sort of shell, but I wouldn't indicate it as a directory or a folder because it's just another page. It's just a page that happens to have to reside outside of all other pages. But your illustration, I think, demonstrates a couple things. I think this is you've named it appropriately. That would be the directory that I would see your website in. And when I go to your website, this is from last week. I see indeed that you have a folder called Amy Lujan GRA 310 town. You've used underscores, good going. And this is the first draft of your index. Now, renaming your index pages different things each week is one way to avoid overwriting them. So good job on that. I happen to be using Safari for the Macintosh to view your page. And I'm in develop mode, and if I scroll down to show page source, I can see the code, and then I can live preview your page. Now, I had mentioned I didn't mean to creep you out, but I had mentioned a script that appears in the code of your web page, and that is something that is placed there dynamically by GeoCities, and it shouldn't affect anything. It's what makes your page visible and also searchable. I see you have extensive commenting. I think I remarked on that last week. So good going. So although you don't, in the milestone 1, you have the sitemap. Let's get to that. This I would say is more of a file management diagram. Okay, this is where you're going to put your files. Both on your desktop, your PC, as well, and it needs to mirror whatever arrangement of files you have on your server. This is more of a visual sitemap, and it's very competent. You looked at the one that I think I gave you. This gives rise to your navigation. Each one of these is going to be a link to a page, probably. This is fairly ambitious, just so you know. If you can. Perhaps you can combine eat and drink into a single menu file or menu page, but that's up to you. And you have indicated folders here where those things might come from, images or HTML pages. What I'm missing, however, is a coded sitemap. It's a simple list of these links with URLs or web addresses. And that will become the basis of your navigation this week, in week 5. So, if you want to resubmit with a HTML sitemap, or take a look at the feedback I've given for other students in the 4.1 discussion board, and perhaps that will you'll come across examples of what I mean by a coded sitemap. Amy, in general, this is, I think, a solid reflection befitting a journal entry. However, think about, and you have defined your demographics well. That comes a lot from the style guide. You haven't really addressed focus groups, though. I was just curious about that. And you have some general questions, I think, to ask of both client and focus groups combined. Do you understand the idea of a focus group? It's where you pick, sometimes it's random, sometimes it's quite calculated, a group of people and they call focus groups because you ask them to bear their attention on an issue, whether it's some questions being asked about service or sampling dishes. It's a group that focuses their attention on a particular set of parameters, and those parameters will shape your website. Think about other types of market research. There are some technological tools. Google Analytics comes to mind. There are some free resources that will give you demographic information, such as the U.S. Census. There are some venerable data market research companies such as Nielsen, and I'm sure there are tools that you can use to do market research that are geared towards people who are designers like ourselves, that are approachable for us. So do a little research maybe on marketing research tools for designers, and share what you come up with. I look forward to seeing how your website shapes up.